The first strange thing wasn't the ship itself, it was the silence that came before it. A cold, sweeping silence that rolled across the night sky over the Pacific like the world was holding its breath. People later said they felt it in their bones, like the air tightened for a moment, like the planet remembered something it had tried for centuries to forget. Then the scanners at Orbital Watch lit up. The alarms blared. And there it was, an Earth ship that vanished 72 years ago, drifting back into orbit with no crew response, no life signals, and no damage. A ghost from a past no one alive truly remembered, turning as if it had only stepped out for a moment. But the real shock wasn't the ship. It was what it carried. Before any of that happened, though, before the world found itself peering into the dark belly of a vessel that shouldn't exist, none of it would have mattered to a teenager named Milo Reed. He wasn't thinking about missing star, cruisers, or impossible weapons, or conspiracies buried under 7 decades of classified files. He was just riding the crowded late-evening bus home, exhausted after a long day of school and a longer shift at the corner store. His life felt ordinary, too small to ever touch anything cosmic, but how everything collided. How Milo ended up tied to that returning ship started with something so tiny, so human and simple, that he almost forgot it happened. It started with him giving up his seat. The bus was full. The kind of full where the windows fog and everyone tries not to make eye contact. Milo had finally found a corner seat near the back. One of the few small blessings that kept his mood from crumbling after a rough day. But when the bus stopped near the hospital and a pregnant woman stepped in, looking pale and a little overwhelmed, he saw her searching the crowded aisle for somewhere unaware to sit. People noticed her but didn't move. Some pretended not to. Some just froze. Milo didn't think about it. He just stood. "Ma'am, you can take my seat," he said, stepping aside. She looked surprised, then relieved. "Thank you, really. Thank you." She lowered herself into the seat with a small sigh, holding her belly like it was heavier than she could handle. Milo smiled politely and grabbed one of the overhead rails. He didn't expect anything more from the moment. He wasn't the type to expect rewards for basic kindness, but she kept glancing up at him, studying him in a way he didn't quite understand. At the next stop, she pulled a folded note from her bag, pressed it into his hand, and whispered something he'd think about for days. "Keep this safe. You're going to need it." Before he could ask what she meant, she got off the bus. Milo looked down at the note, just a simple white paper, creased like it had been folded and unfolded 100 times. No one else seemed to notice the moment. It was so quick, so strange, that for a second, he wondered if she'd mistaken him for someone else. He slipped the note into his jacket pocket. Planning to open it when he got home, he never got the chance, because the world changed 15 minutes later, across the entire globe. Every emergency broadcast system buzzed. Orbital Watch issued a level red announcement that interrupted every screen phones. TVs, billboards, even the tiny display on the bus. Passengers gasped as the words rolled in, heavy and unreal. Unidentified Earth vessel detected, origin. Mission Odyssey. Status: lost since 1953. No crew response, do not panic. Further updates. Incoming. Milo felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. He wasn't born yet, but he remembered hearing about Mission Odyssey. Nothing official, only whispers, and the kind of story adults told with lowered voices. A deep space exploration ship that vanished without wreckage, without a signal, without anything. Scientists blamed a navigation failure. Conspiracists blamed aliens, wormholes, sabotage, even secret weapons, but no one expected it to ever return. The bus erupted with noise, people talking over one another. Some laughing nervously, others frightened. The driver tried calming everyone down. Even he kept glancing up at the display like it was lying. Milo just stood still, gripping the rail as the bus rolled on. The pregnant woman's words echoed through his head. "Keep this safe. You're going to need it." He touched the folded note in his pocket. For some reason, he hadn't opened it yet. Maybe he was scared it would say nothing special at all, and all of this was coincidence. Or maybe he feared it would say something that made things far worse. When the bus reached Milo's stop, he stepped off and felt the world around him buzzing, neighbors crowding around phones. the sky filled with the distant thrum of patrol drones heading toward the coast, the city glowing with flashing alerts from every direction. It felt like the first moments before a storm. He walked quickly, almost running, heart pounding without understanding why. Something inside him, instinct or fear or something bigger, told him to get indoors. To sit down, to open the note. At home, he locked the door and dropped his backpack to the floor. He took out the paper, hands trembling now, though he still couldn't explain the shaking. He sat on the edge of his bed, forced a slow breath, and carefully unfolded the note. One sentence. Just one. Handwritten in fast, uneven lines. As if the woman had written it while shaking, "Do not trust what comes off that ship." Milo stared at the words, confused. Was this a prank? A warning? And why give it to him? Then he noticed something else on the back of the note, a small symbol he didn't recognize. A strange geometric mark, like two overlapping circles cut through with a sharp line. It wasn't decorative. It wasn't random. It looked official, and suddenly the room felt too small, too quiet, too wrong, because the message on the TV behind him changed again. Status update. Ship breach initiated. Initial scans detect artifacts of unknown origin, weapons not identified in any human. Database crew still unaccounted. 4. Proceed with caution. Weapons no civilization should have. And a stranger who somehow knew enough to warn him. A kid with no connection to anything. Milo read the note again. And again. Do not trust what comes off that ship. His phone buzzed suddenly, vibrating so hard it nearly slipped out of his hand. A message. From an unknown number, 2 words. Run now. He looked out the window and froze. Someone was already standing across the street, staring directly at his house. The person across the street didn't move. They just stood there under the dim yellow streetlight, still as a statue, coat collar pulled up high enough to hide most of their face. Something about the way they held their posture too, steady to focused, made Milo's breath catch. People didn't stand like that, not unless they were waiting for someone. Or watching. His phone buzzed again. Asterisk, asterisk, do not turn on any lights. Asterisk, asterisk, Milo felt a cold ache settle in his chest. Whoever was texting him knew exactly what he was doing. His hands trembled so much he nearly dropped the phone. He backed away from the window slowly, step by step, until he reached the wall. The house was quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft crackling sound. From the TV still showing emergency updates, he didn't know who to call. The police. His mom? A friend? But what would he even say? Hey, there's a stranger staring at my house and I got a creepy message from someone who knows the future. It sounded ridiculous even inside his head, yet the fear curling inside him felt very real. He forced himself to breathe and peeked again. The person was still there. But they weren't alone anymore. A second figure now stood near them, shorter, bundled in dark clothing. The two seemed to exchange a few words, then both looked right at Milo's window, as if they knew exactly where he stood. He jerked away and swallowed hard. The note. The warning. The ship. The stranger across the street. Everything was tying together in a way he didn't understand. He remembered the symbol on the back of the note, the twin circles crossed by a sharp line. He'd never seen it before, but the way it was drawn made it look like it belonged to some official group. A secret project? A classified mission? Something connected to the ship that vanished before his grandparents were even adults. Milo forced himself to sit down on the floor beside his bed, knees pulled close to his chest. His mind spun through everything that had happened since the bus ride. The pregnant woman with tired eyes. The gentle way she'd thanked him. The sudden shift in her expression before handing him the note. It was like she already knew something was coming. Like she'd chosen him for a reason he hadn't figured out yet. Why him? He wasn't special. He wasn't brave. He wasn't connected to the military or space agencies or anything that mattered. But maybe the reason didn't matter now. Because whatever was happening, it was already reaching his doorstep. Outside, the two figures started walking slowly, deliberately across the street toward his house. Milo's pulse thudded painfully in his ears. He grabbed his phone again, checking the unknown messages. No new ones. Whoever had warned him to run had gone silent, or maybe they were watching too. He looked around the room, desperate for something, a plan, an escape route, anything. He could sneak out through the back door, but the creaky hinges would give him away. He could hide, but from what? And for how long? Before he could decide, a faint tapping sound echoed through the living room. Not the doorbell. Not a knock. Just a soft, rhythmic tap, like someone brushing their fingers along the side of the house. Tap, tap, tap. Milo froze. Were they checking the walls? Listening. Trying to see if he was home? The tapping stopped. Silence followed, long, heavy, and suffocating. And then a voice, muffled through the wall, spoke so quietly he almost didn't hear it. Milo Reed, we just want to talk. His blood turned to ice. They knew his name. He backed away from the bedroom door, gripping the edges of his phone like it was a lifeline. He didn't understand how they knew who he was, or why they were calling for him. The message from the woman hadn't said anything about people coming for him. It only warned him about the ship. A flash of light suddenly burst through the blinds, a bright, cold beam sweeping across the room like a scanner. Milo ducked instinctively, crouching low to the floor. The beam passed over his bed, his desk, the doorway, and then moved on. Were they trying to locate him inside the house? He held his breath until his chest ached. Minutes passed. Or maybe it was seconds, it was impossible to tell. Then the scanner shut off. Footsteps scraped along the porch. Something metallic clicked near the doorknob. They were trying to enter. Milo's thoughts spun frantically. He needed somewhere to hide. Not the closet, too obvious. Not under the bed, they'd looked there first. His eyes darted to the narrow storage crawl space behind the bookshelf. It was small, dusty, and barely ever used. But it had a latch on the inside. He shoved the bookshelf aside as quietly as he could and slipped into the cramped space, pulling the wooden panel shut behind him. Darkness swallowed him, thick and suffocating. He pressed both hands over his mouth to muffle his shaky breaths. The front door creaked open. A wave of cold air drifted down the hallway. Footsteps, two sets, moved slowly inside. The boards groaned under their weight. Milo tensed, every muscle tight. He heard them speaking in low voices. Search everything. He's here. Are you sure the signal came from this house? Yes, the marker was activated. Marker. What marker? Milo felt his stomach drop. Did the note have some kind of tracker? That symbol, was it more than just a drawing? Had the woman known this would happen? He pressed his ear against the wood, trying to make out more. Do you think he opened it? Doesn't matter. He shouldn't have it. No one should. Not now that the ship has returned. Silence. Then one of them said something that made Milo's entire body go numb. If he read the warning, we're already too late. The footsteps moved toward his room. He heard drawers sliding open, objects being moved, the sound of someone checking under the bed. His heartbeat hammered so loudly he was terrified they'd hear it. Dust drifted down from the ceiling with every step they took. At one point, the footsteps stopped right in front of the crawlspace panel. Milo clenched his jaw to keep from gasping. A gloved hand pressed against the wood, fingers trailing along the edge, testing it, thinking. Then slowly, the hand moved away. Milo exhaled silently, shaking. After what felt like forever, he heard one of them speak again. He's not here. But the signal was, we don't have time. The retrieval team is already heading for the ship. What about the boy? He can't interfere if we find what we're looking for first. Their footsteps receded down the hall. A moment later, the front door shut. But Milo didn't move. He didn't even breathe for several long seconds. Terrified they might still be inside, the house settled into quiet again, the kind of stillness that felt almost unreal after the storm of fear. He finally pushed the panel open and crawled out, limbs stiff and shaking. The living room was a mess, drawers pulled open, cushions tossed, a lamp knocked over. They had searched everything. His phone buzzed. One new message from the unknown number. Asterisk, asterisk, you need to get out of the house. They'll be back. Milo typed with trembling fingers. Who are you? A long pause. Then, someone who was on that ship. Asterisk. Asterisk. Milo stared at the screen, breath caught in his throat. Someone who was on mission, Odyssey. Someone responding now, after 72 years. Someone who knew about the warning. Before he could ask more, the message bubble appeared again. Asterisk, asterisk, and I'm not the only one who made it back. Milo looked toward the window. The street was empty now, but the silence outside felt wrong. Like something else was coming. Something bigger. Something tied to the ship hand, too. Him, Milo, didn't stay in the house long. Every shadow felt like it was hiding someone. Every creak made him flinch. The message asterisk, they'll be back. Asterisk echoed in his mind until he felt almost dizzy with fear. He stuffed a few things into his backpack without thinking. A water bottle, his phone charger, a hoodie, the note from the woman. He grabbed his shoes, slipped out the back door, and made sure it closed without a sound. The night air felt colder than before, sharper, like something in the world had shifted. Houses around him looked the same, but it felt like he wasn't living in the same neighborhood anymore. Not after hearing strangers hunt for him inside his own home. Not after learning someone from a 72-year-old missing ship was texting him. He stayed close to the fences, moving through the shadows, trying to keep his breathing steady. He didn't know where he was going yet. He only knew. Had to put distance between himself and the two people who had broken in. At the corner of the street, his phone buzzed again. Asterisk, asterisk, stop walking. Asterisk, asterisk, Milo froze instantly. His heart thudded. He typed with shaking hands. Asterisk, asterisk, why? A moment passed before the reply came. A drone is coming. Left side, don't look up. Asterisk, asterisk, Milo stiffened. He heard the low hum before he saw the faint sweep of light drifting across the rooftops. He kept his eyes down, staring at the cracked sidewalk as the sound grew louder. He didn't know if it was military, police, or something else entirely. It hovered for a moment, scanning. He felt the warmth of its beam pass over the street near him. Then, slowly, it drifted away. His phone vibrated again. Asterisk, asterisk there, searching for energy signatures. You need to move fast. Go to the park behind the elementary school. Milo swallowed hard and typed, Who are you? Why are you helping me? This time, the reply came quickly. Because if they find you before I do, the world is in more danger than it already knows. Asterisk, asterisk, that didn't comfort him at all. He took a deep breath, then darted across the street, staying low behind parked cars. Each step felt like stepping deeper into something he wasn't ready for. He kept glancing around, imagining the two strangers popping out from behind a fence. The silence made everything worse. No voices, no footsteps, just his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. When he reached the park, he slipped between the metal bars of the gate. The place was deserted. Swings creaked lightly in the wind. A single street lamp flickered near the basketball court, casting long, shaky shadows. Milo moved toward the trees at the back of the park. His phone buzzed again. Asterisk, asterisk, sit on the bench near the sandbox. Asterisk, asterisk, Milo hesitated. The bench was directly under a streetlight out in the open. It felt like the last place he should be. But something inside him whispered that whoever was texting him had kept him alive so far. And maybe this was the only chance he had. He approached the bench cautiously, eyes scanning every direction. He sat down slowly. Gripping the edge of the seat, a long minute passed. Then two. He typed, asterisk, asterisk, I'm here. The reply came instantly. Good. Now listen carefully.
Asterisk.
Asterisk. Milo's fingers hovered over the screen. He waited. Asterisk, asterisk. The ship didn't just vanish. It was taken. And everything that was on board, everyone who survived, was changed. Asterisk, asterisk. Milo felt the hairs on his arms rise. He typed fast. Asterisk, asterisk. Changed how? Asterisk, asterisk. The answer came in a small burst. Like the sender didn't want to explain too much. Asterisk, asterisk. Time works differently where we were. Biology works differently. Memory works differently. Not all of us came back human. Asterisk, asterisk. Milo's stomach knotted. He didn't know what that meant. Mutations? Experiments? Something alien? His phone buzzed again. Asterisk, asterisk. The people who broke into your house. They aren't hunting you because of who you are. They're hunting you because of what you have. Asterisk, asterisk. Milo glanced at his backpack. The note. Why? He typed, "It's just a warning." Another pause. Then colon, asterisk, asterisk. It's not a warning. It's a key. Asterisk, asterisk. Milo's breath hitched. He fumbled to unfold the note again. The message still read the same. Do not trust what comes off that ship. But the symbol on the back? The twin circles crossed by a sharp line suddenly felt heavier, more deliberate. Asterisk, asterisk. A key to what? Asterisk, asterisk. He typed. He waited. No response came. Seconds stretched out. The silence grew unbearable. He typed again. Asterisk, asterisk. Hello. What does it open? Asterisk, asterisk. Still nothing. Then dash footsteps. Soft, careful footsteps. Milo snapped his head up. A figure stood near the edge of the trees, half hidden by shadows. He couldn't see their face clearly, only the faint outline of a hood and the glint of eyes staring at him. He stiffened, gripping his phone tightly. Who's there? He whispered. The figure stepped closer, slowly, deliberately. They moved like someone who didn't want to frighten him, but also wasn't afraid of being seen. Milo rose from the bench, backing away. Stay back, he warned, though his voice trembled. The person lifted a hand, not threatening, more like a gesture of peace. Milo, the figure said softly. I'm the one who messaged you. Milo froze. The person stepped into the light. It was a young woman, maybe 20, maybe older, her face pale, hair tied back, eyes sharp with a tired kind of intensity. But something about her felt wrong in a way he couldn't explain. Not dangerous exactly. Just different. She held up her phone. Milo saw the same unknown number glowing on the screen. You're him, she said quietly. The one she chose. She? Milo asked, voice shaky. The woman on the bus, the stranger said. She wasn't supposed to make contact. She wasn't supposed to come back at all. Milo's mind spun. She said I'd need the note. Why me? The woman took a step closer, her expression tight with something like regret. Because you're not connected to any agency. You're not tracked. You're not trained. You're clean. And she knew the key would be safest with someone who had nothing to do with the ship. Milo clutched the note in his hand. What does it open? He asked. The woman's eyes flicked toward the sky, then back to him. It opened something on the Odyssey. Something locked away before the ship ever vanished. Something no one was meant to find. Milo's heart thudded. What is it? The woman's jaw clenched, like she didn't want to say it. It's a weapon, she whispered. One powerful enough to change everything. Milo stepped back. I don't want anything to do with that. You already are, she said simply. The moment she gave you that note, you were marked. And they will keep coming until they get it. Milo felt the world tilt around him, heavy and unreal. The woman reached into her pocket and pulled out something small and metallic. She didn't raise it like a threat, she held it out like an offering. We don't have much time, she said. The retrieval team will reach the ship soon. If they open the wrong chamber... She didn't finish. A sudden rumble shook the ground beneath them. Milo gasped, spinning toward the direction of the coast. A bright flash lit the sky far beyond the city, silent but blinding. The woman's eyes widened. They've already started. Milo stared at her, fear gripping him again. What do we do? He whispered. The woman looked at him with a mixture of fear and determination. We run, she said, and then we find a way onto that ship. Before Milo could respond, a distant roar echoed across the night, this one not from the sky, but from the street behind them. Heavy footsteps. Many of them, they were already closing in, and the note in. Milo's hand suddenly felt like the most dangerous thing on earth. The sound of footsteps grew louder, heavy. synchronized, too coordinated to be random. Milo didn't need the woman to tell him they weren't alone anymore. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but his legs felt frozen, rooted to the ground by fear and confusion. The woman grabbed his wrist firmly, her grip surprisingly warm despite the cold night. "Move," she whispered, urgent but steady. "Don't think. Just move." They sprinted toward the far edge of the park, weaving through the trees. Milo's lungs burned and branches whipped against his cheeks, but he didn't slow. The woman kept glancing back. Checking the shadows behind them, Milo heard voices, deep, controlled, almost mechanical in their calmness. "He's in the park. Signal locked. Intercept." Those voices didn't sound like normal people. They sounded trained, like they didn't panic, like they had done this before. The woman tugged Milo sharply to the left, leading him toward a chain-link fence at the rear entrance of the park. She reached it first, grabbed a loose section near the ground, and lifted it just high enough for him to crawl under. "Hurry." Milo dropped to the dirt, squeezing through the narrow gap, the cold metal scraping his back. The woman followed right behind him, pushing the fence back into place. Then they were running again, this time across a small service road that led toward the old bike trail. "Are they soldiers?" Milo gasped, struggling to keep up. "Some of them used to be," she said without looking back. "Some aren't human anymore." Milo didn't ask what that meant, not now. He wasn't sure he wanted to know. The bike trail was dark, the path barely visible except for the faint glow of distant streetlights. Trees arched over them like a tunnel, swallowing up sound. Milo's shoes pounded against the cracked asphalt. He could hear the woman's breath, quick but controlled, as if she'd been running from things like this her whole life. "Where are we going?" he asked, a safe point. "Safe from them? For now."
Ow!
For now. The words didn't comfort him at all. Behind them, a faint metallic hum filled the air. Milo looked over his shoulder and saw small blue lights weaving between the trees fast. "Drones," the woman said. "Keep your head down." They ran harder. Milo's heart raced, not just from the sprint, but from the terrifying knowledge that something beyond normal human technology was after them. Drones moved between branches, as if they could predict paths, scanning following heat signatures. Closing in, the woman suddenly pushed him toward a slope on the left side of the trail. Down there, it was a steep drop wrapped in thick bushes. Milo didn't think he just leaped, sliding down through leaves, dirt, rocks. The woman followed, landing beside him in a crouch. She pressed a finger to her lips. Milo held his breath. 2 drones zipped overhead, lights sweeping. They hovered for a moment, scanning the area. Milo felt a chill spread down his spine as one beam passed so close he could see dust floating in it. Finally, the drones turned away, heading deeper into the trail. The woman exhaled slowly. "We need to keep going." They crawled out of the bushes and followed a narrow creek bed that ran behind the houses, staying low in the shadows. Milo's legs shook, but the woman moved with purpose, guiding him like she already knew this path by memory. After several minutes, the creek opened into a small underpass beneath the highway graffiti-covered walls. The smell of damp concrete and the echo of distant cars. The woman stopped. "This is where we talk," she said. Milo bent over, catching his breath. His throat burned. His clothes were covered in dirt and leaves. He'd never been this scared in his life. When he finally looked up at her, he saw a different expression on her face. Not panic. Not fear. Resolve. He swallowed. "Okay, then tell me. What's happening? Who were those people? What's on that ship?" The woman leaned against the wall, eyes tracking the dark entrance of the underpass, as if expecting someone to appear any second. "It isn't just a ship returning," she said. "It's everything that came back with it. Everything that's been waiting." Milo frowned. "Waiting for what?" "For a key. For permission. For release. Whatever you want to call it. And that's me." He said, confused. "Why me?" "I don't know anything. I didn't sign up for this." "You didn't," she said softly. "But the woman on the bus did. She knew what was coming. She knew someone would try to activate the chamber, so she made sure the key wouldn't fall into the wrong hands." Milo pulled the note out of his pocket again, staring at the symbol. It didn't look dangerous. It didn't look powerful. Just strange. What does it unlock? He asked again, voice low. The woman hesitated. Milo noticed her hands shaking slightly, not from fear, but from restraint, like she was holding back something heavy. It unlocks one of the sealed vaults inside the Odyssey, she said. The one the crew discovered before the ship vanished.
Milo felt his breath catch.
The vault wasn't human, was it? No, she whispered, and whatever built it left something inside. Something alive. Milo stared at her, stunned. Alive? Like a creature? Not exactly. Her eyes darkened. More like an intelligence. Something that doesn't think the way we do. Something that wants out. A cold chill slithered down his spine. Why put the key in a note then? Why give it to me? Because the wrong people have been waiting for that vault for decades. The moment the Odyssey reappeared, they saw their chance. You saw how fast they moved. Milo nodded, remembering the way the strangers searched his house with machine-like efficiency. They think you'll lead them to it, she said. They think you'll panic, slip up, and get caught. But we can't let that happen. Milo's voice trembled. So what's the plan? I can't run forever. No, she agreed. You can't. That's why we're going to the coast. The coast, he echoed. That's where the ship is. It's where everything is, she said. And if we don't reach the Odyssey before they do, the vault will open. Alice. Milo's mouth went dry. Then what happens? She looked at him with quiet intensity. Then the world changes into something we won't survive. Before Milo could respond, a distant roar filled the air deep. Thunderous, and far too close to be a plane. The underpass vibrated. Dust rained from the concrete ceiling. The woman's expression hardened. They're deploying something. Milo's pulse spiked. Deploying what? She grabbed his hand again, dragging him toward the exit of the underpass. Everything they have. At that moment, several bright blue lights ignited above the highway, hovering, humming, scanning. Not drones this time, something bigger. Milo felt panic rise inside him. They found us. The woman nodded grimly. And we're out of time, as they burst out of the underpass and sprinted into the open night. The sky above them split with beams of light, sweeping across the ground, chasing. Them, hunting them, driving them straight toward the Odyssey, toward the vault award. Whatever waited inside, Milo didn't look back. He didn't need. 2. The entire world felt like it had just stepped into the moment before disaster, and he was running straight into the center of it. Blue beams cut across the night sky as Milo and the woman sprinted down the embankment. The hum grew louder, like the air itself was vibrating. Milo didn't dare look back, but he felt the vibration in his ribs, the kind of sound meant to track, to target. 2 corner. Keep low, the woman said, pulling him behind a row of abandoned storage containers near the docks. They're sweeping for movement. Milo crouched, heart hammering so hard he thought the drones or whatever those things were could hear it. The woman peeked around the metal edge, eyes narrowing. They're not just hunting us, she murmured. They're blocking the routes to the Odyssey. Why? Milo whispered. So we can't reach it before they activate the vault. Milo's stomach twisted. Every time he thought things couldn't get worse, they did. But I still don't get it, he said. Why do they need me? Why not just open it themselves? They tried, she said, and they failed. That vault needs a very specific pattern, a biological imprint. Milo frowned. Biological? Like DNA? She hesitated for a single second too long. That note you're holding, she said finally. It's printed with an encoded sequence. It's tied to the vault's lock. That symbol on the back, it's not just a symbol. It's a key signature. Milo stared at the paper in his hand, suddenly terrified to touch it. So, she gave me a piece of DNA-coded paper? He asked, overwhelmed. The woman shook her head. She gave you hers, and hers was altered. Altered how? Milo whispered. By whatever took us, she said quietly. Whatever changed us. Milo felt his breath catch. He was carrying genetic material from someone who'd been missing for 70+ years. Someone who had survived something impossible. Someone who was being hunted maybe for the same reason he was now. But before he could ask anything else, a sharp crack echoed through the docks. Not a gunshot, more like metal snapping under pressure. The woman stiffened. They're close. Milo looked around, panic rising like a tide. The docks were wide open, with nowhere to hide except the containers. The coastline stretched ahead, dark water, rolling waves, and beyond that, the faint outline of something enormous rising from the sea mist. The Odyssey. Even from a distance, the ship looked wrong. Too smooth in some places, too jagged in others. Like parts of it weren't built but grown. Lights flickered along its whole, soft pulses like a heartbeat. For a moment, everything inside Milo stilled. Is it alive? He whispered. The woman didn't answer right away. That's one of the questions we were never meant to answer, she said softly. Before Milo could process the implication, a harsh clicking noise rang out behind them. He spun around and froze. 3 figures stood at the far end of the dock, silhouettes outlined by the drone lights above. They moved with the same strange precision as the 2 who'd broken into his house. Their heads tilted in unison, like they were listening to something only they could hear. One of them stepped forward. Milo Reed. The figure said, voice calm and too steady. You are carrying classified property. Surrender it. Milo felt his legs weaken. The woman moved in front of him, shielding him. You're not getting him, she said. The trio paused, almost confused. You are one of us, the lead figure said. You were altered by the same environment. You were part of Odyssey Protocol? You should comply. The woman's jaw tightened. Not anymore. The 3 figures didn't react emotionally, they just shifted their stance, like adjusting settings. You oppose us, the lead figure said. Then you are no longer classified as a survivor. You are a threat. Milo's pulse spiked. The woman whispered without turning, when I say run. You run, but no arguing. Before he could protest again, a deep, metallic groan rolled across the docks, so loud it rattled the storage containers. They all turned toward the ocean. The Odyssey was changing. Lights along its hull brightened, forming patterned circles, lines, pulses like a message. A massive section of the ship's side began to unfold, petals of metal peeling back. A glowing chamber was revealed inside. Shimmering white-green like liquid light, the figures on the dock stiffened. They've started the activation sequence, one said flatly. Milo stared at the glowing chamber. Feeling something tug in his chest, an instinctive, unexplainable pull, like the ship was calling. The woman grabbed his arm. We need to get there before they do. But how? Milo asked. They're blocking everything. She pointed toward the far side of the docks, where a dim light flickered inside an old boat maintenance shed. There's an access tunnel under the docks, she said. It leads straight to the launch platform. We can reach the Odyssey from below. Milo nodded, but the figures were still blocking the main path. How do we get past them? He whispered. The woman glanced at Milo, then at the figures, then back at him. Milo, there's something I didn't tell you. His stomach dropped. What now? She swallowed, her voice low. I wasn't the only one who survived, and not all survivors returned on the ship. What do you mean? Milo asked, confused. A chill wind swept across the dock. The woman slowly lifted her sleeve, revealing faint glowing patterns under her skin, faint lines like circuitry pulsing with dim light. Milo stepped back instinctively, but she held his gaze. They didn't change me fully, she said, but they changed me enough. The 3 figures suddenly reacted. Stepping back in synchronized alarm. She is unstable, one said. She is incomplete, another added. She is dangerous, the third finished. The woman's eyes gleamed not with pride, but with fear she was trying to hide. I can distract them, she said. For a few seconds, that's all I can give you. Milo's throat tightened. No, I'm not leaving you. Don't have a choice, she whispered. If they get you, everything ends. The vault opens. The intelligence gets out. Milo shook his head, panic rising. I can't do this alone. You won't be alone. What does that mean? She cut him off with a look, a strange, soft, sad look. Run. Milo, before he could move, before he could breathe. The woman stepped out from behind the containers. Straight into the open, her skin flared with bright light. The figures recoiled, and in that split second, when the entire dock lit up like sunrise, Milo heard a deafening roar from above. The drones were descending fast. The woman turned her head, met Milo's eyes one last time, and everything exploded into blinding white light as Milo bolted toward the access shed, toward the Odyssey, toward whatever waited in that glowing vault. Not knowing if the woman survived, not knowing if he could outrun what was coming, not knowing that the real twist was still ahead. Waiting for him inside the ship, Milo sprinted toward the maintenance shed. The blast of white light behind him still burning in his eyes. His legs felt shaky, half from exhaustion, and half from knowing he'd left the woman behind, someone who had risked everything to keep him alive. He didn't look back. He couldn't. If he did, he knew he'd stop running. The shed door was half open, rattling in the wind. Milo slipped inside and slammed it shut behind him. The space was dark, smelling like old oil and sea salt. His hands fumbled along the wall until he found a switch. A single bulb flickered on, revealing a metal grate on the floor. The access tunnel, just like she said. He knelt, grabbed the rusted handles, and pulled. The grate screeched open. Cold air from below rushed up, carrying the echo of the ocean beneath the docks. Milo slung his backpack tight and climbed down the ladder. Gripping each rung with trembling fingers, the tunnel was narrow, dimly lit by old service lights that flickered every few seconds. Water dripped from the ceiling, tapping steadily against the metal walkway. Milo forced himself forward, the distant hum of the ship vibrating through the walls. The Odyssey wasn't far now. By the time he reached the end of the tunnel, his breathing had evened out, not calm, just focused. A metal hatch stood ahead, slightly ajar. Beyond it was a platform overlooking the ocean. The ship towered above the water, glowing softly, like it was waiting for him. Milo stepped onto the platform just as the vault chamber on the Odyssey began to open further. The petals of alien-looking metal spread wider, and a column of light shot straight into the sky. A voice spoke from behind him. "You made it, Milo." Spanan nearly fell backward. The woman stood. They're alive, but changed. Her skin still glowed faintly, but the patterns beneath her skin were stronger now, brighter, like they had awakened. Her eyes were different to deeper, reflecting something he didn't recognize. How did you? Milo couldn't even form the question. "I held them off," she said, stepping forward carefully. "Long enough to break their link. But I don't know how much time we have before they recover." Milo felt a surge of relief he didn't realize he'd been holding back. "Good," he said breathlessly. "Then let's shut this down. Whatever this vault is, we stop it." The woman didn't move. Instead, her expression shifted, something between sadness and acceptance. "Milo, we can't shut it down." Cold wave washed through him. "What do you mean we can't?" "The vault isn't opening because of them," she said. "It's opening because of you." Milo felt his heart drop. "Me? Why me? I don't even know what this thing is." She reached into her pocket and pulled out the note, the same note he'd been carrying. Milo instinctively patted his own pocket, realizing his was missing. "That's not possible," he whispered. "I still have mine." She shook her head. "You had a copy? The real key was always on me, and the vault reacted the moment you got close." The light from the ship pulsed, matching the rhythm of Milo's heartbeat. He felt a pull in his chest, again stronger now, unmistakable. He stepped back. "No, I'm nobody. I'm not part of this." "You are," she said softly. "Because you're not completely normal." Milo froze. "What?" "You were born after the Odyssey vanished," she said. "Decades after. But your DNA? There's something in it that matches the vault's signature." "That's impossible," he whispered. "My mom, my dad, they're just regular people." She hesitated. "Milo, The woman on the bus. She wasn't a stranger. Stared at her, confusion breaking into disbelief. No, she can't be. She's your grandmother. The world tilted. Milo staggered back, gripping the railing. His grandmother? The woman who vanished with the Odyssey. He had never met her. She had disappeared long before he was born. His mother rarely talked about her. Milo always assumed it was because the loss hurt too much. But she was alive. Or at least she had been long enough to return. She came back altered, the woman said gently. And some of that change was passed down. Through your mother, and then to you. Milo felt numb. His entire life, every normal thing suddenly cracked open. The ship pulsed again. Brighter, the vault was opening. The woman stepped beside him. This is why she gave you the note. Not to warn you. Not to protect you. Milo looked at her, eyes wide. But to unlock it, she finished. No, Milo whispered. I'm not doing it. Whatever's in there, it shouldn't be free. It won't stay sealed, she said sadly. They will force it open if you don't. You're the only one who can control what happens next. Milo stared at the ship as another wave of light spread across the water. The vault chamber was now completely open, revealing a swirling core of luminous Mista presence that felt aware. Watching, he didn't know how he knew. He just felt it. Something inside the light reached toward him, almost like a hand. The woman placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Milo, whatever choice you make, it will change the world. He glanced at her, voice barely a whisper. What if I make the wrong one? Her eyes softened. Then it means no one else could have made the right one. The platform beneath them shook as the vault's energy intensified. The air crackled. The pressure built. The ship was calling to him. It's asking for something he didn't understand. Milo stepped forward. He raised the note. The symbol on the back glowed bright. Pure, alive. A beam of light shot from the vault toward him, wrapping around his hand. Energy surged through the note, through him, filling the air with a sound like 1,000 whispers. The woman shielded her eyes. Milo. The light engulfed him whole. Then everything went silent. The wind stopped. The water froze. Even the drones above the docks flickered and powered down. Milo stood in the center of the glow, suspended, weightless. And just when the light dimmed enough for him to see, someone stepped out of the vault. A figure, human-shaped, but not human. It smiled at him, gentle and unsettling at the same time. Milo, it said, speaking his name perfectly. We've been waiting a long time. Milo took a shaking breath. Who are you? The figure tilted its head. Not who, it said softly. What? The vault pulsed. Again, dash once, twice. Then the figure whispered. Something that made Milo's blood run cold. I'm the reason the Odyssey never returned. Alone, the woman gasped behind him. Milo couldn't speak, because deep down, a part of him already knew. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something the world wasn't ready for. The figure standing in the vault's glow watched Milo with an expression that felt too calm for something so impossible. Its shape was human, but the way it held itself, the stillness, the quiet confidence made Milo feel like he was standing in front of something far older, far more aware than anything on Earth. The woman stayed behind him, half protective, half afraid. He felt her presence like a steadying anchor, even as the glowing air made everything feel dreamlike. Milo swallowed hard. Why were you waiting for me? The figure stepped closer, its footsteps soundless. Because you carry a connection to us, thread. A part of the human line altered by the environment we created. Milo felt the weight of those words sink into his bones. The environment you created. You mean wherever the Odyssey was taken? Yes, the figure said softly. A place not meant to trap or harm, but to observe. To understand what humanity could become if given tools beyond their time. Malo's voice shook, but the crew disappeared. People thought they were dead. They were not meant to be lost, it replied gently. But the link between our world and yours fractured. We could not return them until the conditions aligned again. Milo tried to imagine his grandmother, young, curious. Stepping into a future she didn't expect, he felt a strange ache in his chest. She must have seen things no one on Earth ever would, survived things he couldn't comprehend. And still, she found a way back home just long enough to hand him a note. What happened to her? He asked quietly. The figure paused. She chose to stay within our world until the moment she sensed Earth calling again. She had only enough strength to cross over once. Giving you the key cost her the last of her time. Milo blinked fast, trying to steady his breath. He'd only known her for seconds. Just a stranger on a bus, but now the weight of losing her felt real. Sharp, heavy. She believed in you, the figure said. More than she believed in anyone else. The glowing patterns on the woman's skin dimmed slightly as she stepped forward. Why return now? Why bring the Odyssey back at all? Humanity wasn't ready for what you gave us. The figure turned toward her, its expression unreadable. You misunderstand. We did not bring the ship back to share power. We brought it back because the link between our worlds is closing forever. The crew who remained here, altered as they were, would not survive without resolution. Resolution? Milo asked. The figure nodded. You carry the final imprint. The last key. Once activated, the vault could release its intelligence into Earth's systems, or seal itself permanently. You had to choose whether humanity would open the door or close it. The idea that he had already made a choice without knowing it made his stomach twist. I didn't choose anything, he whispered. You chose when you came here, the figure said. When you brought the imprint within range of the vault, you decided the outcome. We cannot open the door from our side. Only your presence can. The woman put a hand on Milo's arm, grounding him. Then what happens now? The door is open. The figure looked toward the swirling light within the vault. Now we return what remains of our presence to our world. No weapon will be released. No influence will linger. The door will close, and your planet will continue its path without interference. Milo stared in disbelief. After everything, the drones, the chase, the warnings, the vault wasn't opening to unleash something dangerous. It was opening to send something home. But the others, the woman said softly. The altered survivors. The ones who hunted us. What happens to them? They were caught between two worlds for too long, the figure said. The return signal will draw them back as well. They will not remain to threaten your kind. Milo felt relief wash over him, slow and warm, like the tension finally had somewhere to go. The figure looked at him again, its eyes gentle. You cannot follow us, Milo, even with your imprint. Your body is bound to your world. Your life continues here. Some small part of him felt unexpectedly disappointed. Not because he wanted to leave Earth, but because he wanted answers about his grandmother, about the Odyssey, about what he had been connected to without knowing. Will I feel different now? He asked. You will feel more aware, the figure said. But you remain human. You will live your life as you choose. The imprint will fade with time. Milo nodded slowly. The glow around the vault intensified, humming with a steady, gentle vibration. The air warmed. The light shifted from white to gold. It is time, the figure said. Milo felt something stir deep inside him like a tug, a whisper, not painful, not frightening, just a quiet release. As if a weight he never knew he carried was slowly being lifted. The glowing patterns on the woman's skin faded too, dissolving like mist. She gasped softly, touching her arm as the last traces dimmed. Feel normal, she whispered, surprised. You were not meant to remain altered, the figure said. The rift kept you in between. The closure will restore what was lost. Milo noticed tears in her eyes, relief. Maybe even gratitude. The figure stepped backward into the vault, its form merging with the swirling light. Farewell. Milo Reed, it said, voice echoing gently. Your world is yours again. The light surged. The vault folded inward, petals closing like a giant mechanical flower. The glow faded, the humming softened, and finally, the Odyssey's hull dimmed to a quiet pulse, calm now, no longer calling. The ocean settled. The air grew still. The drones above the docks dropped into the water. Lifeless, it was over. Milo stood on the platform, breathing in the quiet. The woman leaned on the railing beside him, watching the ship's light slowly dim. "So, that's it," Milo murmured. She nodded. That's it. He didn't know what he expected, a dramatic explosion, a beam of light ascending into the sky, but the ending felt strangely peaceful, simple, human. "What happens now?" he asked. The woman looked out at the water. "Now you go home. You tell your mom the truth about her mother when she's ready to hear it, and you live your life knowing you stopped something bigger than any of us could understand. And you?" Milo asked. She smiled, softly, small, tired, real. "I get to be myself again." For the first time in years, they stood in silence for a moment, the waves gently brushing the dock below. Milo took the note from his pocket one last time. The symbol on the back didn't glow now. It looked like ordinary ink. The paper felt warm from all the times he'd held it. He folded it carefully and tucked it away. Reminder that sometimes the biggest changes in the world don't happen with explosions or battles, but with quiet decisions made by ordinary people in impossible moments. As the first hints of sunrise crept across the sky, Milo let out a long breath. He felt lighter. Not because the danger was gonna but because he finally understood why everything had happened. The Odyssey hadn't returned as a threat. It had returned to say goodbye, and somehow, without planning to, he had been the one to close the door. The woman touched his shoulder gently. "Ready to go home?" Milo nodded. They walked back toward the quiet docks, leaving the ship behind as the sky turned soft shades of morning. A new day, a normal one, and for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough.